Recently, I've been trying to do retail arbitrage and make a sourcing video for you guys since I haven't done one in a while. However, I haven't had much luck with it recently, so instead I was focusing my time on online arbitrage and developing better strategies. I decided to make an online sourcing video instead of an in-store one. And I'll show you a couple things I've been doing recently to improve my ability to find profitable products. We're going to skip the part of the video where I actually show you how I run my searches on Tactical Arbitrage because I do have a whole playlist that you could check out if you're interested. I'll link it in the description. We're going to jump right to the part of the video where I go through the search results from some of the searches I ran recently. So you can see here we are on Tactical Arbitrage. We are under the search manager, and you can see recently I've been running a ton of searches. So I'll scroll down and then we'll actually go to number 8 and we'll start here. So you just want to click View Data. It'll open up a new tab. Now here, it's asking whether I want to reset the filters that I have in place for when I run searches. I'm actually going to reset the filters, and I'm going to actually walk you through that part of the process because I do think it's an important part of this process. You can see once I reset my filters, I have 55 results to look through. This 28,000 items that you see here is for all the searches that I've ran recently under reverse search. I mentioned in my previous video actually that I was using this view reverse and looking at all 28,000 items, but I did realize the issue with that is it includes items you've already checked off, and then as you're running new searches it's including those, so you end up looking at the same items multiple times. So it's actually better to go to Search Manager and look at the specific searches you're running. In order to narrow this down, you want to go over here to Filter Manager, scroll up to the top of this list. One thing I do for Amazon categories is I get rid of CDs and vinyl, books, and then also movies and TV. This is just to get rid of products that I personally don't sell a lot of. I'm not a big fan of those categories, so I'll uncheck those. And then you want to go down to Source. And then here, the main one I usually get rid of is eBay, because a lot of times the products you're finding on eBay and that look like a good price are usually going to end up being used versus you want to sell new on Amazon, so I get rid of that. Also keep in mind that this list is only going to be for this specific search result, so there might be other options that you're going to have to take out when you're looking at other results. And then the next one we want to do is in stock. So basically if an item's not in stock at a store when you're scanning the list, it doesn't make sense for you to look at that product since you can't buy it necessarily. So I'm going to click yes, and then we're going to hit apply. So you can see I went from 55 results to look at to now 22. If you actually look back in the video, the first result here was a book, so I took that one off as an example. So let's start looking through some of these results and see what we can find. So one of the first things I want to mention too is you can see this keep a graph here on the left of Tactical Arbitrage. That is one thing I've recently changed up. I included this here because it tells you a lot of information, and normally you'd have to click onto the Amazon listing to go scroll down to look at it, but if you don't have to load that page to look at it and you could narrow down your results just by looking at it real quick, that does save you some time. So this first item here is Crayola, and I know I'm gating that, so I'm going to keep scrolling. Looking at the keep a graph for this item, it doesn't look like it has the best sales history, so it's not necessarily something I'd be interested in looking at too much further. This one here, the keep a graph, is very short. It only starts in March. We can actually look back to see if it's older. It's possible this is a newer item and it hasn't been listed very long. It looks like it has a decent sales history for when it's been listed. The only thing that I usually don't like selling clothing is because clothing tends to have so many different sizes. When you click on this listing, there's like 20 different sizes, and the keep a graph is for every single size all combined in one. So it's really hard to tell how much a certain size sells. We have Halo Infinite. Sales graph looks decent. You can see the price dropped, and once the price dropped, people start buying it more. This is a good way to indicate what people are willing to pay for an item. It looks like people aren't willing to pay for this item when it's $80, but now that it's dropped, people are willing to pay for it and buy it, so the sales rank goes down, which is good. But it looks like this one is a mismatch, so this isn't the same item as this. Scroll down. This brand is gated, so I won't look at that. So next up we have this Nair hair remover, and it looks like the sales graph is pretty decent. The one thing you want to check with this type of product is whether the sizes are the same. So we'll go over to Target and make sure. This one is 2 ounces. This one doesn't say. This is also 2 ounces based on the picture. So it looks like it's $3.99. This one is $11.47, $11.47, $11.48. Most of these are not FBA sellers. This one is. Let's see. Sales graph does look pretty good. You can see the sales rank back here went up because it wasn't there was no buy box. And then once there was buy box, there was more sales. And then over here, it actually started selling more often. The next thing you want to do here is you want to check the profit. So we'd go over here, run Amazon Scout Calculator. You can see the price isn't accurate. We saw it was like around $11.50. So I'll put 11 just because you want to have some room to move in case the price drops. So when we put in $11, you can see you make $5.65 per unit. So at Target it's $3.99. So it's only $1.80. Technically this is a profit, but I usually try going at least $3 or $4 per item, depending. So while this is profitable and it looks like it does sell a decent amount, 344 sales a month, this is something I probably wouldn't buy just because it is pretty cheap on the profit. So for instance, if you sell this and the price drops down to $9.99, you're only making 80 cents. So it's not really worth the time to make so little profit. So let's go on and look at other items. If you do want to sell this, feel free. Nike, I'm gated in. Not really a huge fan of selling perfume, especially when it's $146. You can see on this keeper graph here on the left, you do have the occasional Amazon coming in stock and selling for $5.99, but it does look like they're out pretty often. It does have a pretty high sales rank right now at $185,000 for toys. As you can tell, it still does sell though, so it might be worth selling. The one thing we want to check is whether we can sell it. So we want to go over to Amazon, add a product, add the ASIN, and then you can see I have to apply to sell for Hasbro, and I got approved. This is why you want to check whether you can sell it, and then you want to apply to sell regardless, because sometimes they'll just automatically approve you. So you can see the buy box is around $12.36, makes $7.58. Should be at Walmart for $4.97, but it is out of stock. So you can see Tactical Arbitrage isn't 100% accurate in terms of their stock check, but we keep going. This one I wouldn't sell because Amazon's been in stock for a long time. So I went through those two pages real quick. Didn't find anything there, so I went on to the next search results, and I did find this product that looks pretty good. So you can see on the sales graph here, it's not a huge seller. It does go up to almost 250,000 in toys, but it's not terrible. You can see the pricing has been pretty consistent for the past 90 days. Goes down to around $80 and goes up to about $100. If we go to 180 days, you can see Amazon was selling it at the end of last year. Amazon sold out, the price went up, and the sales kept coming because it was Christmas time. That's just what happens. But you can see even this year, the price has been pretty consistent, and it's still got decent sales. Next thing we want to do is check the website that this is from, which in this case is Target. Make sure it's actually in stock and available. And then we want to check Amazon, check our profit margins, and see if we could sell it. So you can see on Target is $59.99. The nice thing about this product is that currently Target has a sale. If you spend $100, you save $25 on toys. Which if you spend exactly $100, that's about 25% off. In this case, because it is a higher price item, you could buy 2 of these, which would be over that $100 threshold, and you'd save $12.50 each item. We go into Amazon, we could see all buying options to see how much it's selling for. You have right around $90 for most of these. They're all pretty much the same price. We already saw the keeper graph that shows that it's doing pretty good. We want to check the profit margins. So you want to bring up the FBA calculator. You can see for some reason it thinks it's $12.99. So we just want to adjust that to about 90. As I said, it doesn't sell a ton at 8 units, but let's check the profit margin because sometimes it's worth selling a product that doesn't sell a lot if it has the right margins. Now the product is selling for $59.99 at Target, but we do have to take off $12.50 for that sale. So we have $59.99 minus the $12.50 is $47.49. You got to include taxes on that, so it's for my state it's 6.625%, which brings up to $50.63. Then you also have to keep in mind if you can buy a gift card or get cash back from a website. So for me, I could probably get a 10% gift card on this. So I'm going to do that as well. So we're talking about $45.58 for the final price. We do want to include, keep in mind that this looks like it's a larger item, so we want to include shipping costs. So if we go over to the calculator for FBA costs, we can include our shipping costs separately, but I'm just going to throw it in here. I'll say this is a $48 item. And you can see a profit per unit is $21.86. Our net margin is 24% and our ROI is 45%. So this is not bad at all. Now the one thing you do want to keep in mind with your product price is I mentioned Keepa and that the price is pretty consistent, but there is still a lower price. Like you see down here at $80.70. So you just want to type in a separate price and make sure you're still going to make some money while it might not be as much. So if the price does start dropping, you could get out and not lose everything. So even at $80, we're making $11.68 per item, which is still pretty good margin considering. So the two other things that we didn't check yet is we want to see if this product is sellable, whether we're gated or not. So you just want to copy the ASIN, similar to the Hasbro item, go over to Amazon, type it in. You can see I can sell this product. So we're ungated, makes good margins. What's next? So we want to add 2 of these to the cart. As I said, you could buy more of these, but with this sale, you can only spend $100 to get $25 off. The thing with these type of offers is you want to get as close to $100 as possible. If I spend $200 and save $25, it's only 12% off. Whereas if I spend $100 and get $25 off, it's 25% off. So we're going to add 2 to cart, and then we're going to view cart and check out. So you can see here I'm saving $29.74. This includes 5% off with your red card, but I'm not going to use the red card because I'm going to save 10% using a gift card. Now the other thing we want to check that I mentioned is cashback. So the website I use is topcashback.com. So if you're interested in joining this program, Top Cashback, I do have a link down in the description. It is an affiliate link. It does help out this channel if you want to use it. But we could search here for Target and see if they have any cashback offers currently. So you can see, unfortunately, right now, Target is not offering cashback. The next step in the process is simply checking out using that gift card I mentioned earlier to get an extra 10% off. Then once the item arrives at my house, I send it into Amazon, wait for it to sell. The only issue with an item like this is it's most likely not going to be replenishable because this is a limited time sale. And once that sale is over, it might not be as profitable of a product. As mentioned, I do have a whole playlist of tactical arbitrage videos down in the description you could check out. And down in the description as well, there's a link to Tactical Arbitrage, and if you use code PATH2BILLIONS, you get a 10-day free trial. Now that we found a couple potential products, I do want to mention a few things I've been trying recently to improve my search results. My first tip is to look at sellers who are selling the profitable products you already sell. If you're brand new to online arbitrage, it might be a little bit harder to do this because you don't yet have products. But once you found your first few products, you go onto those product pages and look at the sellers who are selling those products. Let's take the product we just found as an example. You can see all the sellers here are all Amazon FBA sellers. They send their products into Amazon and have Amazon handle shipping and customer service. I had mentioned on my last video, because Tactical Expander Lite allows you to search storefronts with more than 150 pages, it might be a good idea to find really large sellers and scan those storefronts. However, I've come to realize that there is an issue with this. Those sellers with a lot of products on their stores are usually either wholesale sellers or dropship sellers. It doesn't hurt to scan these storefronts once in a while, but you're not going to have as much luck because wholesalers and dropshippers tend to take lower margin and focus on volume instead. The other thing to notice with this listing is these sellers, besides being FBA sellers, also have a decent amount of ratings, meaning they probably have 100 plus products in their store. So just these couple first sellers here are all sellers I would potentially go download a list from their store using Tactical Expander and then scan those with Tactical Arbitrage. Currently, my thought process is to go smaller and more focused versus casting a really wide net and coming up with a bunch of products that aren't profitable. Since I'm currently focused on online arbitrage, I'm starting to develop a better strategy so I can find more profitable products faster. If you're interested in learning more about Tactical Arbitrage, I do have that playlist I mentioned. If you found this video helpful, feel free to give it a like. As always, thanks for watching.